All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Lunch and Learn. It is Wednesday, and I'm here each and every week to explore topics to help you elevate your mindset and be at your best, radically expanding your life and business along the way. And today we are talking about a topic that has come my way. Many people have requested it. It's all about how to manage the disruption of change. And I think there are a lot of changes going on in the world. There's probably a lot of changes that are going on in your world. And if you are needing some help, then this is for you. So if you feel like some changes in work, your health, or family life, or maybe even the world events that are going on are really impacting you and you'd like to be more resourceful in how you manage it, listen up. This is for you. If you are feeling stressed and anxious or overwhelmed and you may not know why, well, stay tuned because this is going to explain a lot. Everything I'm going to share with you today is going to be so incredibly powerful. And I'm also going to give you some wonderful tips to actually walk away with and implement right off the bat. And I'm also really excited because this is our very first time streaming into LinkedIn. And we are also on our other channels. So if you haven't given StreamYard permission to use your name, please do that so I can see who you are when you comment. Okay, so I would love to know where you're coming in from. And if you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. And if this is your first time here, type in first time in the chat. So if you do have any questions, you can pop them in the chat or post them and I will answer them along the way. And if not, then I will make sure to save them to the end. So and I will also make sure to check the threads afterwards and get back to you if you do have any questions, if you're watching the replay. So I know some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCouch. I am a master results coach and CEO of Abundance Academy, where we help high achieving women radically expand their life and bridge the gap between what they dream and what they're doing and the actions they take so that they can unapologetically have a life and a business that they want and love. Now, when it comes to change, I remember I've had many changes in my life, as I'm sure you have, but there was one change I really wasn't expecting, and it threw me for a loop. And it was when I had my son. And if you're a parent, I'm sure you can relate to this. I had helped raise my two brothers. They were much younger than me. And so I had experience being around children. I liked taking on that parental role. I liked having responsibility. And I thought I knew a lot about what it took to be a parent. I thought I knew a lot about what it was like to be around children. And I did. However, we had our son and we went, oh my goodness, like, oh, I don't know what to do. Okay, I don't know what to do. Now, I remember we got him home and we were looking at this child. We're like, we didn't even know how to get out of the hospital at that point. And so we brought him home. And when we had him home, we were just thinking like, what do we do now? So we had a big disruption because we had a beautiful ebb and flow. My husband and I were together for many years. We knew how we operated, but now we had this new baby. And so babies have certain needs. They eat, they sleep, they poop, they cry. And then we learned how to adapt to those needs. One of the things I noticed is as soon as we figured we were on track, as soon as we figured out that we thought we knew what we were doing, something would change. So for example, it was a few weeks before we figured out my son's sleep cycle. We hired a lactation consultant and she was a nurse. She came in and she sat with us. She coached us and guided us. Very important to get mentorship in cases where you are not qualified and don't have experience. And so in this case, she taught us how to feed our son properly in our home so that he would sleep enough and he would be burped properly and he would feel really good. We got this sleep cycle down. And as soon as we were really confident in it, within the month, right? We had it for a couple of months. And then he changed something, right? Something started to change. And so we would have to go explore that next thing. And it was a series of changes and changes and changes. As soon as we caught up to it, something would change. As soon as we caught up to it, something would change. And I thought that was really fascinating because change is inevitable, right? Why am I talking to you about my son's birth and my son's youth? Well, you have gone through some changes in your life, and I'm absolutely certain you will go through them in the future. Change is inevitable. It's one certainty we have in this world, and whether it's good change or bad change, it can still be disruptive to your world. How you handle it is up to you. My son was a great gift. He was a great opportunity. We were so blessed to have him. And he was also a major disruption to the lifestyle we were used to the life and business we were used to having and operating. And it was good. It took an adjustment period. And so one of the things we had always learned is there is no failure, there's only feedback. So we made a choice to look at the feedback our son was giving us, to look at the feedback we were getting in our lives and make the changes necessary. It was a big opportunity. So I want you to ask yourself, okay? I want you to ask yourself here, do you see yourself rolling with the changes? Do you want to see yourself rolling with the changes that come your way or fighting against them? I'd rather roll with them. I know that's my choice. Would you rather hear yourself responding instead of reacting, responding with elegance and grace, regardless of what's going on in your life? And are you willing to take a look at yourself, take a look at your life, take a look at your environment through a whole new lens, perhaps a very different one than you've ever looked at before? Because what I'm going to share with you today may disrupt your world a little bit. However, it's going to create opportunities for you to have a much more rich and much more fulfilling world. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about change, and I'm going to give you some specific ways to manage those changes in your own life better than you ever have before. So, concrete tools are coming. I just want to remind you that if you do have any questions that come up, pop them in the chat. I will do my best to answer them during the presentation or afterwards, okay? So if anything does come up, let me know. When it comes to change, change is an all-encompassing term. It is a term that's used to describe events over the course of time. And there's an aspect in the definition of change where something becomes different. An instance becomes different. A person becomes different. There is an aspect of undergoing transformation. So transformation is a really key aspect and element to change. Okay, something becomes different. Historically speaking, change has been happening since life began. Just think about it. Even in human times, a man and a woman come together. They connect, right? Individually, they are in one state. Together, they are in another state. Even that's a change. When they connect, fireworks might go off, and somehow there's sperm and eggs. They might meet, and that creates a new life form. That life form changes every minute of every day. The cells, they multiply, they evolve, and they create a human being. That human being is born, it eats, it sleeps, it excretes, it plays, and continues to change each and every day. Then that human being turns into an adolescent. It moves out of the house, finds work, finds other humans to reproduce with, and starts the cycle all over again. As the human ages, the body continues to change form every day, generally getting older, a little slower, and more dehydrated. And eventually the physical body will die. That's another certainty. So we are always changing. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. And this world is full of vibrational frequencies. And that is what causes change to happen. Now, back in 1908, cultural anthropologist Arnold van Gennep, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He studied the rites of passage of people across the globe. And he claimed that change had 3 phases. So you separate from the current state, move through transition, and reincorporate into a future state. So let's say a teenager is leaving home. The teenager separates from his parents. The teenager moves through a transition of learning to be on his own, and then he reincorporates into a future state. That teenager perhaps wants to complete school, and so he incorporates his life into that future state of completing school. And so change has been studied by so many individuals, and in the 1990s it actually entered the world as it became a modality and an industry of itself. It's called change management in the business world, and I think this is fascinating because this whole idea of change impacts all our lives. Now, typical changes are birth, death, job loss or acquisition, marriage, relationship, divorce, different phases of life. So youth, adolescence, adulthood, retirement, and older age. Now, these changes can be major events. They can also be insignificant. Okay, so major life changes, just like these big life transitions, those are huge. Changes can also be small, things like change in body temperature, arriving home later than expected, right? We don't think about the impact of arriving home 5 minutes later because of traffic. That is also a change. Getting caught in traffic can be a change if you're not used to it. Maybe arriving home and having dinner or flowers waiting for you when you arrive there can also be a change if it's something you're not used to. These changes can be good or bad or neutral. Now, regardless of the change that's going on, the change and the perception to what is going on and whether it's good or bad is actually determined by the user's experience. So let's just use a more real life example that is going on. There are a lot of things on television. Okay, I'm not going to reference any in particular. However, if you turn on the TV for 5 minutes and watch the news, you will likely hear generally a lot of what we consider bad news. Now, you can take that on and you can start thinking about it and really replay those stories in your head and perceive it as bad, or you can look at it from a different perspective and perhaps perceive it as good. I don't know. It's irrelevant as to what it is. Your experience will be determined by you. Now, I want to share 3 things to really help you manage change more effectively. And this might not be your normal way of thinking, so I want you to have an open mind. These can be a breakthrough in and of themselves. So often when I work with clients, we go through a process of creating a breakthrough, because breakthroughs help us overcome our obstacles and step into a whole new level of possibilities. And it all starts with something as simple as being receptive to hearing a new idea. Okay, so I want you to really open up your mind to what's possible. So point number 1 when it comes to change is you can be in your story or you can be in fact, because your reality is true to you, not to everyone else. And if you look at your life through your own lens, you might perceive a situation in one way. So I'm using examples of my son today. They're all coming to mind. So let's say I would like my son to eat breakfast before school. Okay, really simple. I am focused on making sure he's nourished, and I'm thinking I'm giving him a gift of nourishment. He wants to play, and me asking him to stop playing and come eat is being mean. Don't be mean to him. He's 4 years old. Okay. So his perspective is that I'm not being kind because I'm asking him to stop doing something he wants to do. And my perspective is I'm being a responsible parent, someone that's loving and caring, that wants to nourish her child. Okay. So 2 very different perspectives. Generally, he does find my perspective eventually. However, in the beginning, he's got that new perspective. So what's really important is that you look at your life and the events in it from many different perspectives. Now, you can look at it through your own eyes. So I'm looking at this situation as myself. If I look at my hand, I will see my hand through my own eyes. When I'm looking at my computer, when I'm looking at my desk, when I'm looking at you through this camera, I am looking through my own eyes. I have my own opinions. I have my own story. I have my own perspective. Now, you can also look at something as an outsider. You can actually step outside of your reality and detach from it. Look at it from a more global perspective. So if I pretended to zoom out of my body and sit way up there on that shelf and look at my life from that perspective, I would see a lot more. I would see many different things, and I might be much more open to seeing things I normally wouldn't see from this seat right here. And it's a very powerful position because when you step out of your story and into a new position, you can start looking at things from a much more objective perspective. It doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it wrong, it gives you other information. And it also decreases the emotions associated with it. So when you're in your own body, you're going to be very emotional. When you're not in your body, okay, when you step out of your body, you can take the emotion out of it. So emotion is great to feel when it's awesome, when it's good, when it's positive. If it's not a positive emotion, this is really when you want to step out of your perspective and take a new approach. It's kind of like Superman changing in the phone booth, right? If you look at the old Superman movies, he used to jump into the phone booth and change into Superman and run out the door. And that is so powerful because you can do that too. When you practice looking at life through your own eyes and you practice looking at life from a new perspective, you have so much more power. You will not be a victim. You will be in a strong position. So change your story, get into fact, and look at things from a new perspective. That's phase number 1. That's something I want you to really take action on today and practice it, practice it, practice it. Step 2 is change your approach and your perspective. T. Harv Eker says, where your attention goes, energy flows, and the results show. I heard him say this in a seminar nearly 20 years ago, and it just rings in my mind. What you focus on expands, and you can focus on the problem or you can focus on the solution. There's something called the law of polarity, and it says everything has the equal and opposite potential for good and bad. And when something has bad in it, it has the equal and opposite potential for good. And so we live on a polarity, but it's kind of like temperature. If this was the polarity line of temperature, this side is hot, this side is cold. This side is black, this side is white. Cold and hot are temperatures, black and white are colors. They're still the same thing. They're just sitting on different points of that polarity of that line. And so when you're looking at anything in your life, the cool thing to recognize and be aware of is when you're looking at something bad, there is some good opportunity that can come from it. It's your job to look for it and to find it. Sometimes this requires putting pen to paper so you can get into a more objective state, that it is possible, and it doesn't matter how bad something might appear. Viktor Frankl, he was in a concentration camp. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. If you have never read it, I highly suggest it. But as soon as he started changing his approach and he made a decision to live and to survive and to thrive moving forward, he showed up to his life in a very different way. He didn't give up like everybody else because he knew what he was focusing on, and he changed his approach compared to most people in those camps. And because of that, he survived. So it's powerful, powerful stuff. People can't, you may not be able to change your physical experience. However, you can change your inner experience in here and in here. So recognize what is working, recognize what approach you are taking, and find the solutions to your problems. Step 3, anticipate to the best of your ability. You want to anticipate to the best of your ability. when you know that certain things are going to happen, we can't always predict all changes. However, there are certain changes we can predict. We can predict when a birth is going to happen. You have 9 months to prepare. And if you're late, you might have 4, 5, or 6 months to really know what's going on and get yourself ready. People can prepare for educational transitions, perhaps kids leaving the home, perhaps you changing jobs, retiring, finding a new job. There are things that we can anticipate if we just pay attention in our lives. You can anticipate states of your finances if you actually pay attention to them. That means knowing what your financial situation is on a regular basis so you can anticipate what will happen. This is called when you make a decision for what you would like to have happen, it's called advanced decision making. So when you know what your situation is and you can anticipate what will happen, you can actually make a decision in advance to decide what you would like the outcome to be and get your butt moving in that direction. It is such a powerful, powerful thing to do. So really, really key to move forward in that direction. Okay. So decide what you want, right? Know where you're at, decide what you want, and make a plan to get it. Anticipate what's coming up to the best of your ability so you can handle the change, but also realize that the changes that are in front of you don't have to dictate your outcome. You have control. You can be in your driver's seat. Last but not least, one of my favorite topics is really stay grounded and practice daily success habits. It is so, so key to be filling your cup each and every day. I have a success habit tracker that I fill out. Okay, so this is an example of one of my very messy ones. Okay, so I have a success habit tracker. I write down the habits that tend to keep my mind, my body, and myself in check. And it helps me stay grounded. It helps me show up at my best no matter what is going on in my life or business. What fills your cup? You've got to be filling your cup on a daily basis and making deposits, right? In the seed of your mind, in the seed of your body. It's almost like if your mind is a piggy bank, you've got to be making deposits every day so that there is something there to hold you and to fuel you forward. So practice daily success habits. Those vary from person to person, but you want to make sure to do something for your mind each and every day. Whether that's setting an intention, whether that's studying, whether that's journaling, whether that's watching a recording like this, whatever it is, do something for your mind and mindset every day. Do something to nourish your body every single day. Make sure you're eating, you're sleeping, you're moving, and do something for your soul. Really tune into your emotions. Make sure that you are entering positive vibrations. Now, in difficult times, sometimes that might be hard to do. You're like, Larissa, you're talking about all this stuff and looking at things from the bright side of things, but there's bad things going on in the world. There's bad things going on in my life. I'm going to say cancel that way of thinking. One thing I've learned from Michael Beckwith is when there are difficult and challenging times, there's 3 things you can do. And we've touched on these already. So when there are difficult and challenging times, Michael Beckwith suggests, it is what it is. Accept it. Harvest the good. Forgive all the rest. Challenging times will come up. Accept it and realize it for what it is. Remember, in any bad situation, there is something good. It's up to you to look for it. Forgive all the rest. Entering that state of forgiveness allows you to let go, because forgiveness is about you. It's not about the other person. It's not about the other situation. It's about you clearing your soul and conscious. And it doesn't mean ignore things going on in the world and in your world. It means really look for what you can do. Really look for the good in the situation and put your energy on that. If the entire world right now was willing to focus on something good, regardless of where they were, regardless of what was going on. If every single person in the world, let's say for 5 minutes, could focus on something good, I guarantee you there would be some really positive changes that would happen across the globe. What if the entire world for 5 more minutes could focus on something good, and for 5 more minutes could focus on something good? That would be absolutely incredible. We are just not in the habit of doing that. So it's your responsibility to start doing that now, even if it's for 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Keep dripping that good throughout the day, and that will help you capitalize on your change rather than fall victim to it. And there is nothing more than I would love than for you to step into your ultimate best self, for you to have a breakthrough, for you to take this information and go do something powerful with it. So, just to recap, I want to remind you of the 4 points I touched on. You can be in your story or you can be in fact. Remember, look at things from a different perspective through your own eyes and as an outsider. Through your own eyes is where you want to feel the emotion. As an outsider is where what you want to get logical and really step into your intelligent way of being, step into your objective self. Change your approach and perspective. That's part number 2. So change your approach, really find the good in all situations, focus on the solutions, and start looking at what you can do. Third, anticipate to the best of your ability what might be coming up. Make a decision in advance how you would like it to turn out, and then go do something about it. Seems simple. I want you to go do that. Last but not least, stay grounded and practice your daily success habits. Fill your cup, because when you do, only good things can happen. You will be fueled to be a powerful, powerful force in this universe. And that's what you're here for. I truly, honest in my heart and soul, believe that each and every one of us, you, me, everyone else that you know, was put on this earth to do magical and wonderful things. And there is nothing more that I would like to see than to have that happen, than to make that happen. I want you to take your gifts and I want you to go out in this world and let them shine. Now, if you are looking for something, if you're like, I've done so many things, I've read all the self-help books, I've gone to seminars, I've tried therapy to get myself in a good mood, and I like what you're saying, Larissa, but this hasn't worked for me. It's not like I'm not trying, but something's not working, something's not clicking. Well, you probably have some roadblocks standing in your way. So I'd love to extend an invitation to you to our ultimate breakthrough masterclass, where I'm going to dive deep. We're going to spend 2 hours diving deep into a science-based fast-track solution to eliminate roadblocks standing in the way of your success. We're going to have slides. You can take lots of notes. It's going to be a beautiful and intimate experience. We've got some incredible people attending this event. I would love to extend an invitation to you. I'm going to show you how to pinpoint exactly where you're holding yourself back so you can access the fastest science and evidence-based solutions on the planet that will work for you. They work for everybody. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, and you aren't one-size-fits-all. So it's so important that you customize your solutions to you. I am going to show you how you can work smarter, not harder, and position yourself for fast results that last. Okay, fast results that last. So really important to work smarter, not harder. And then third, I'm going to show you how to step into a recipe, an evidence-based, results-driven process that can move you forward faster than anything else you've imagined. So if that's of interest to you, it's absolutely free. And I will make sure that there is a link popped into the chat of each of these videos on all our platforms so that you can take a look at it and you can join us and you can get registered and be with us. We would love to have you there. Oh, Kelsey just posted in the chat on Facebook. So Kelsey, if you could pop into LinkedIn and also YouTube, that would be amazing. So thank you, Kelsey. I would love to invite you, and I would love to help support you through your journey. And I would love to support you in any changes that you are going through. So with that, you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.